Chapter 27.
Welcome, folks. We are Parshas Bechukosai, the final Parsha, Torah portion of the book of Vayikra Leviticus. We are in the fourth reading. We are in chapter 27, verse 1. We deal now with a new section about pledges and vows that a person takes based on their own value, right? In other words, that you are going to give a gift to the, which would be to the Holy Temple, the sanctuary. And, you had a granddaughter a grandson who was born, right? Like myself, right? Last night a grandson was born. And you were very thankful to God. So you would say, and I'm not saying this, but because it makes it as a vow, I pledge, the value of that boy, or I pledge my value to the Holy Temple, right? That's what the Torah is going to tell us. It doesn't become subjective, right? It doesn't become subjective. It's going to be in categories, as we're going to see. Let's get right into it. Okay. And Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, Daber b'nei Israel, speak to the children of Israel. Amarta aleihim, and say to them, Ish, a man, Kiyaf leneder, when he expresses a vow, be'erkecha, nefashis la'Hashem. Be'erkecha, the value, nefashis of lives to God. In other words, he's giving the value of life, right? Like I said, a child has been born and you want to give thanking God for life. So you're giving the value of life, right? That's what you're doing, right? So obviously the value of life is infinite because it's coming from the infinite God. So, doesn't mean you're giving everything, right? We see the Torah will give, again, categories of different age groups. And so fixed prices, exactly. Okay. Well, we'll see how much we're worth soon. Yafli Rashi, Yafrish Befiv, express verbally. Important, right? Express verbally. Be'erkecha nefasha is pledging the value of lives. Nefasha is souls, meaning life. Right? The value, the erech. There's a whole tractate called Erchin. It speaks about this. Okay, litain erech nefashos, right? So you're giving to the base of Mikdash, remember, to the Holy Temple, erech nefashos, the value of souls. Loimar, by saying erech davar shenafshetuluya by Allah, the valuation of something, of a part of a body, which is the life dependent, is incumbent upon me to donate to the base of Mikdash. So if I would say the value of my heart, right? So since my whole body is dependent on my heart, right? People could express it in odd ways. You could say my value, or might just say the value of a specific limb. So Rashi is bringing out from the words over here that if a person said the value of, why does it say the value of the person? Why the value of the soul? Because it's speaking about here that even if you give a value, not of an arm, because your life is not dependent on an arm, but your life is, the value of my heart I'm giving to the Beis Hamikdash, if a person were to say that, right? So since your heart is dependent on, your life is dependent on your heart, so it means your entire value of a person, right? In other words, the reason why it's worded that way is to bring out that idea too, that since it's dependent I hope that was clear. Yeah, you got it? No. Huh?
I'm following.
Okay, good. Okay. Verse number 3. So now he's going to give the values. The Torah is going to give them and the fixed value, the value of hazocher, of a male, ben Mishana ben Shishim Shana, from 20 years to 60 years. Mishim shekel, kesef shekel hakodesh. So the value of this person, or that you're giving the value of this person, doesn't mean the person who is making the vow is between 20 and 60. You're giving the value of a person 20 to 60, right?
Yep.
That's what you're doing. You're saying, I'm going to give the value, right? A guy's going, someone's going out to fight. He's going out to fight a war. And he's a 20-year-old. I'm going to give the value of my nephew, who's going out to war. I'm going to give that to the base of Mikdash, right? God should protect him. Type of thing. So it's not your value. You might be over 60 or you might be under 60. So it's not you, it's what you're giving the value of. Okay? Got it?
Do you have a nephew
there? Not yet. I've had a nephew there, yes.
there?
Yes. No, I'm saying just giving that. Yeah, no, not bli net, because I'm not talking about me.
I make a guess.
Okay. So you have to give 50 silver shekels according to the holy shekel. Rashi and 3.
700?
Okay, let's learn Rashi. And the valuation of the male shall be the valuation does not mean here market value of as a slave. His pledge is expensive. In other words, if he was sold as a slave, he would fetch a high price, right? Which is all wed, or he would fetch a low price. It's based on age. This evaluation is fixed for him, the Pashazu, in this Torah portion. Okay. In other words, it's not subjective. Let's say you're getting a strong 20-year-old or a weak 60-year-old, 59-year-old, right? So it's not based on projected on each individual, what they would fetch on the market, right? On the slave market. No. Fixed price. This means like erech without a suffix of the chaf. Kofim, the repetition of the chaf. What the significance of that is, because it's erech is the root word. Ayin reish chaf is the root word. So Rashi is saying that the double chaf, you're not certain why it's doubled. And if it's a female between the ages of 20 and 60, the value will be 30 shekels, right? If you're saying, I'm giving the value of your daughter that's between 20 and 60, or your whoever, then it would be 30 shekels. And if it's the value from 5 years to 20 years, right? We did 20 to 60. Now we're going lower. Those are the highest numbers. Now we're going from 5 to 20. So if it's a male, the value will be 20 shekel. And the keva, a set of shkolim, and for a female, it'll be 10. Okay, Rashi in 5. And if from 5 years of age, not that the one who makes the vow is a minor, because the words of a minor don't mean anything, don't obligate, right? Just because a 5-year-old said, I'm going to give such and such, that doesn't obligate them, because they're not what? Bar mitzvah. So therefore they don't have the responsibility, the capability of that their word is obligating. Ella Gadol Shamar, but an adult who said that the valuation of this minor, Shehu ben Chamesh Shanim, who is at least 5 years old of age, Allah is incumbent upon me that I'm making a pledge to the holy temple. That's what it means. As I explained previously, Rashi just says it now. Him ben chodesh va'ad chamesh shanim. And if it's from a chodesh, from a month old to 5 years, right? We did from 5 to 20, but now from 1 month to 5 years. So then the value of that male will be 5 shekel kesef, and for a female it will be 3 silver coins. Okay, so now we started from all the way from a month. Why a month and not from the day old? Is because after a month, that's when we know that the child is what we call a bar kayama. Rashi doesn't say this here, but elsewhere, bar kayama meaning that it will survive. Yeah. Now, so we had. So what? So the male was 50, 25, right? Mm-hmm. Female was 30, 10, 3. Yeah. Okay, now we're going from 60 upwards. If he is from 60 years and up, if he's male, his value will be 15 shekel. Shekel, and a kevav, asara shkolim will be 10 shekels. So here, right, after 60, there's a greater closeness in the value between male and female. Rashi is going to explain. Explain. Being ben shishim shanan, if from 60-year-old and up, once he reached the days of old age, 60 and up, right? A woman is closer in reckoning in the sum of the valuation as a man is. Why? She explains, because a man decreases in value as it reaches an older age. Beyond the third of his valuation. He was 50, and now he went down. Right? And now he went down to 15. That's less than a third, right? She was 30 and she went down to 10, which is a third, right? More than a third is valuation. And a woman decreases exactly a third of her valuation. Why? What's the difference? The Amri in shape. People say Saba Babesa. When you have a Saba Zaidi, an old man in the house, Pacha Babesa, there's something broken in the house. He's going to break things, right? He's old. He's going to break things, right? Vesavta Babesa, but an old woman, I mean the bubby's in the house. Similar Babesa, it's a treasure in the house. The Simna Tava Babesa, it's a good sign in the house, right? Because she's going to help. Huh? She's gonna babysit. Exactly. My wife. That's my wife. Yeah. She's a big blessing. Yep. Oh, but if he becomes poor, too poor, from paying the evaluation, he should stand him before the kohen, and he should evaluate the kohen should evaluate him. According to the reach of the hand, which means according to how much he can afford, right? which is reach of the hand of the neder, the one who made the vow, the kohen should evaluate him, right? So this is, in other words, across the board values. A person said this, but he can't afford it. So the kohen will evaluate. Rashi.
Sliding scale.
This is the idea of a sliding scale, exactly. This is where the idea comes from. Well, I mean, the truth is, it was all a sliding scale till now too, right? It's also, but now it's a sliding scale not based on age, based on what you can afford, right? Because based on this, it's a sliding scale, but only on age of what you are evaluating, what you've pledged, right? But now becomes a sliding scale based on you and what you can afford. If you can't afford. If he is destitute, that his hand does not attain. What does that mean? Meaning he can't afford. To give this evaluation. Why? What does it mean? Why are we using a hand here that you can't reach? Why is that the expression of you can't afford, that your hand can't reach?
Your pocket.
Or can't reach into your pocket or reach out to give. Because when you give, you're giving with your hand, right? You're giving money, you're giving with your hand, right? Even today, when we do it on your phone and, you just press a button, still your hands has got to do it, right? Your fingers got to do it, right? Even today, look at that. Then midday, and you should have him stand. A kohen shall cause nerach, the one who made the pledge, to stand before the kohen. The kohen should set the evaluation for this person who's made the pledge. According to the attainment of the hand, meaning the capability of the one pledging the valuation, to what he is able to afford. That's what Rashi explained there that we didn't understand. Al pi asher tasi, according to the hand of the person who made the vow, what he can attain, what he can reach. Lefi mashi yeshla, according to what he has. You said, Jenu, the kohen shall arrange for him, yashir loy, and leave for him kidei chayav, enough that he should be able to sustain his life. Mita, which is a bed, kar, a pillow, a kesis, a cover, uklei umnais, tools for his trade. And if he was a donkey driver, the kohen should leave him a donkey. So guy's poor, right? And he says the Torah gave, he's got to give 50 shekel, for example, right? Mm-hmm. So how do we now, what is he basing the evaluation on? So the verse is coming to say, al pi asher tosig, that which he can reach, right? Meaning what he needs to reach for his personal capability of sustaining himself, that remains with him. And beyond that, that's what he has to give. Okay?
He doesn't have to sell his clothes.
Doesn't have to sell his clothes, doesn't have to sell his tools for his trade, even his bed and his pillow. You might say, sell your pillow. You have to sell the pillow. I mean, you made a pledge. Remember, we're talking about your words this is teaching us that your words are very powerful. Words matter. You made a pledge with your words that you express verbally. That's important over here. We said that it had to be expressed verbally, right? So you got to make good on the pledge. Okay. You're good? Okay, verse 9. Now, if it's an animal whose type is fit to be brought as a sacrifice, as an offering, Lashem, to God, whatever part, all of that which he gives from the animal to Hashem, will be holy. Okay. What does this mean? Now we're going to animals, right? We've done about giving values of a person. Mm-hmm. Now, Rashi, kol asher yitem mimenu, anything that he gives of it, Amar, raglazu Shelzu oila. Let's say a person says the foot of this animal should be an oil offering, a burnt offering, right? So how do you do that? How do you bring only a foot, right, of the animal? Well, what's with the rest of the animal? So his words are upheld. The pledge takes effect, even though, right? So what do? So Rashi explains, you have to sell the animal, the tzarchi oila, for the needs of an oila, meaning you sell it to someone who will use it as an oila offering the entire animal, right? And the money then that was paid for it is not holy, it's mundane. Except for the value of that particular limb, which becomes consecrated, for the buyer does not pay. The buyer is paying for the whole animal, right? So a person says, "I am giving the foot of my cow as an offering to the Beis Hamikdash." Obviously, he's giving the whole animal. He's giving the whole animal becomes consecrated. But here, how do you consecrate only a foot? His words take effect. How? He has to sell the animal to someone who's going to bring this as an offering, as an oila, right? So the entire animal now is offered as an oila. The money is now mundane money, except for, let's say it was $1,000 for the entire animal, right? The leg is valued at $150. So 150 of it will go to the Beis Hamikdash, and the rest will belong to the owner of the cow. No, but the animal is going to be sacrificed, the whole animal, as an oila. Now, let's say you want to sanctify this animal to make it as an offering, right? So the verse is now saying, don't exchange it, but don't substitute it, right? This animal for another, whether for good or whether for bad, right? Whether for a good one for a bad one. Why would you want to substitute? Oh, I didn't realize this is what's her name? Jersey, Elsie, the cow. I offered Elsie. I don't want Elsie. She's my trustee. So I'm going to exchange it. So whether it's for good, a good one for a bad cow, or even a bad one for a good one. What the verse said. If you do it, then if you do substitute it for another one, then that animal and both animals become holy. The animal that you first offered as a pledge and the one that you exchanged it for, the replacement, both of them become holy. They both have to be sacrificed, yes. That's what holy means.
Not a good move.
It's not a question good move or not. Torah's teaching us, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, Rashi number 10. Toiv v'ra, good for bad. Tam b'balmum, meaning an unblemished one for a blemished one. Right? In other words, Elsie, she's a pure animal. So I want to give a blemished one that's as a sacrifice, which not that you could use the blemished one, but it means that would be redeemed. Or a bad one for a good one, kol shekain. All the more so, a good for a good, and a bad for a bad. Now, if I can't do bad for good, then obviously I can't do good for good or bad for bad, right? If this animal was a bad animal, blemished one, I said, you know what? I don't want to give a blemish. I want to give up a good one, an unblemished one. So I'm going to exchange it. That you can't even do. In other words, your words are so powerful that when you say that Elsie, the cow, is going to be sanctified and I'm giving it, consecrating it to the holy temple as an offering, those words make it consecrated. Period. That's powerful. right? So much so that I can't even change that. If I try to change it, oh, I made a mistake. She's blemished. I don't want to give a blemished animal. So, and I want to give a better animal. So you can't even do it for a better animal because you said this cow. If you just said a cow, different. But you said this cow. Got it?
Mhm.
Okay, 11. Now that was when we said bad. What does bad mean?
Blemish.
Blemished. Kosher animal, right? But if it's an animal that is impure, unclean, that you're not allowed to bring it as an offering to begin with, right? You can't bring your lion as an offering. Right? Can't do it. Right? From it as an offering to God, then he shall stand up an animal before a kayin. Let's see Rashi. Rashi in 11, im kol behema tmeya, if any impure animal, v'vilas mumakos medaber. This verse is speaking about a blemish, shehi tmeya lahakrava, that is impure for offering. So it's not the way I just said it.
I found a line.
No, it's not a lion. No, sounds like it's a cow, but I'm not clear on that. Let's see further. This verse is coming to teach us she'ein kachim tmimim yotzim lechulam, that unblemished holy objects, unblemished animal which has been consecrated as an offering, do not go out from their sanctity to become that which is not holy, but pigeon through redemption, elimkin humamu, unless they become blemished. Aha. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, this is not speaking about an unkosher animal, that which I said initially. I was wrong, what Rashi is saying, right? They're speaking about a kosher species. It's become blemished because it says that you may not bring it as an offering to Hashem. In other words, it's implying that because of its impurity, that's why it is not able to bring an offering, right? But you could eat it if it was properly slaughtered as regular,
Non-offering.
So it means it's a kosher animal. So what is this verse coming to tell us? Because we already know this, that you can't bring. It's coming to tell us something else. Because we're speaking here about transferring holiness, right? So you can't transfer a holiness from a animal that is pure and could be brought as an offering until it becomes blemished. So let's say you have your cow and you it's not blemished, it's pure, and you consecrate it. But now you want to redeem it. You can't redeem it. The only way you can redeem it is first it has to become blemished. Because if it's fit for the altar, you can't take it from the altar. How does it make it unfit for the altar? Blemish. So it has to pasture until it will receive a blemish. Naturally, these things happen to the animal. It's not like you don't cut it slip. You don't do that. Like if it has a cut lip or eye that's or any other forms of blemishes, right? You don't do that. You let it pasture till it becomes blemished, then you can redeem it, because it's not fitting. It's a kosher animal that's not fitting to the altar. That's what this verse is coming to tell us. Okay. Verse number 12. So the Kohen shall evaluate whether it's good or bad, like the evaluation of a Kohen, so it shall be. Rashi in 12. Like the Kohen shall evaluate the Shar Kol Adam for any other person, Habal Liknesa that comes to buy it, Miyad Hektish, from the possession of the Beis Hamikdash. Yes. Yeah. What are we talking about here? We're talking about this animal now. They became impure, right? It was sent to pasture. It became impure. So now what are you going to do with it? It can't be used for the temple. So what does the temple want? What does temple treasury want? It wants money. So the Kohen will give an evaluation for this animal, right? And the person will pay whatever that evaluation is if he wants that animal. Okay. And now it won't be an animal that you could use for the altar. Be an animal that is right. And it sounds to me that the way I would understand it is you're going to get a bargain. It's going to be it's like the bank repossesses something, right? You're going to get a bargain basement price for it because here the treasury wants to get rid of it, right? It's impure. It can't be put on the altar. So I'm assuming that's not part of the law. That's not the parameter of the law. I'm just explaining perhaps what happens, right? Because it's going to be a big pain. The guy's gonna have to take it from Jerusalem and take it back home with him. That's like, who's going to do that exactly? Anyways, that's the technicality that is not the point over here. I'm just giving some kind of context to it. Okay. Yeah, because that's going to be for personal grazing. Right. It's not going to be as a consecrated animal because remember, it has a blemish to it. So it can't be used as an offering. Okay. 13. But if he comes to redeem it, he shall add a fifth to its value. Now, if he comes, who's he comes? So Rashi is going to explain this is the original owner, right? As if I'm not the original owner, then I should have to pay whatever the value is. But the original owner, right? He has to pay a fifth more. But if he redeems it, with the original owner of the consecrated animal, so the verse is more stringent on this person to add a fifth of the evaluation in order that it should be redeemed. Similarly, if someone who consecrates his home, right? Say, that's gonna be later, right? I consecrate my home, the value of my home. Obviously, the home doesn't become something, right? That is given to the temple, right? You can't give it. The temple doesn't need your home; they'll need the money from it. So if you come to redeem it, you're gonna have to pay a fifth more. Can't imagine this. Something like with someone in regard to a consecrated field. Right? The pigeon Maisasheni, similar with the redemption of the second tithe, the Bailim, the original owner, Maisim Chaimish, they add a fifth. But not any other person. Okay? Got it?
Second tip. In other words,
Huh?
Second tip. In other words, the first one was the census, and this is separate from the census.
What? What census?
Well, you have to give like half a shekel.
It's not got nothing to do with that.
Because here it says the second tip.
No, tithe. Second tithe. No. He's giving other example where you have to give a fifth. If I am living in Tiberias and I have to take second tithe, I have to bring second tithe. What's second tithe? Second tithe is the 10% of your produce you have to bring to Jerusalem and eat it in Jerusalem. If I'm living in Tiberias, I'm going to bring all that. It's going to be a big pain. So what do? I redeem it on money. I take the holiness of that 10% on money. I take the money with me to Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, it's holy money now. I can't spend it for anything except for buying produce there to eat that produce in Jerusalem. Right?
Yeah.
So if it's me that's redeeming it, I have to pay an extra fifth. If it's someone else who's redeeming it, they don't have to. Okay, that's what it's speaking. It's just giving other examples of where the Torah says you have to pay an extra fifth if you're the owner.
Thank you.
Okay, verse 14. The Isha sheyakdish es beisai. Oh, here he says, okay, here a person who consecrates his home again, right? What happened? He had a child. He's so thankful for God. He didn't have a child for 20 years, and God gave him a blessing as a child, right? What's the thing? So I'm giving the value of my home. Well, the value of the home, how do you do that? So you have to give the amount, what the home would be worth, right? So Yakdish is bait. So Kaddish Hashem, it becomes holy to God. So the Kohen will evaluate the home, right? Bein taiva, bein ra, whether it's good or bad. In other words, if it's a good home, bad home. So as he will assess it, evaluate it, Kain Yakum, so it will remain, so it will be. As based on the Kohen, what he says. And if the one who sanctified it will redeem his home, he will add to it a fifth of silver, the value will be upon him, and then it will be his. Others, this is another example of where Torah says you have to give a fifth more. Is that clear? Let's take a look and see if we have something from the Rebbe here.
The Cohen has a lot of responsibilities. He has to be evaluator, he has to do this, he has to do that, he has to do a lot of different
A
stuff.
lot of things.
Do we solve all this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have another copy. Are you having another copy, Rabbi?
No, not at the moment. Thank you. Okay. Remember, you remember the Rashi, they said that from 60 and up, so the male went down more than a third. He went down from 50 to 15, which is more than a third, right? A third would be 45. 15 times 3 is 45, right?
Yeah.
But he went down less than a third. She went down, the female went down a third exactly, from 30 to 10, right? So Rashi, if you recall, said that, having a savta, a bubby in the house, right, is a blessing, right? Is a good sign, right? So Rashi, so the Rebbe asks, so Rebbe says, if you're giving the metaphor, if you will, I don't know if it's a metaphor or is the right word, but if you're giving the example of the Zadie that he breaks things, right? and she's right. So then, well, how come his value is 15? His value should be 0. Like, yeah, minus, right? Right? Shouldn't. Gabi Arachanaki. Okay.
Amazing one.
Okay. So Rashi answers this by saying the word Saba bebesa, Pacha bebesa. An older man. Aha. So this is only, it says in the house, only in reference to the house. But outside of the house, in other words, dealing with the community, the rabbinics, and the like, not only can he bring benefit, but on the contrary, he has a certain greatness because he's got the experience that goes with his age. Therefore, Saba loses his value, right? In comparison to the Zeta loses his value in comparison to the Bubby, right? The grandfather to the grandmother, and only in reference to dealing in the home, right? In that reference, but not in reference to what other outside of the home, what he's able to.
What is it?
Interesting. So Rashi, well, we just said he's got life experience that he can be a communal leader, a rabbinic authority, and so on and so forth. So that he does have.
He worth more?
Well, he's 15 and she's 10, right? So Rashi, the Rebbe is saying that Rashi forewarns this, right? By saying in the house, he has less value. But that's only in the house. That doesn't mean in the community. In the community, he has. That's what the Rebbe is exacting in Rashi's words. That's all. Okay. All right, folks. I'll see you shortly. Bye, Tanya.